Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one, coming to you with a Thursday market recap. Hope all of you had a very good day of trading today. And in today's markets, guys, well, the bullish momentum continues after yesterday's monster move. After the size of yesterday's move and the momentum, guys, we were pretty sure that we were going to get some follow through over the course of the day today because we really didn't have any macro news that would have prevented it, right? No real major data events coming out today. And the bulls delivered in a very big fashion. The SPY up almost 1%, 0.84%, and the QQQs up barely 1% as well, about 0.98%. But all across the board, some very healthy broad market participation in today's markets. So in today's video, guys, I have a few things prepared for you guys. We are going to take a look at number one, some earnings from Adobe coming out with their earnings after the close today. So we'll take a look at their numbers and see how they did and go into some valuation and whether or not I deem it to be a decent buy or possibly not. And thereafter, guys, we're going to go through our major technical analysis rundown of our major stock market indexes, followed by our big tech names, and see where can we still find some deals in this current market right now. And then lastly, just go over a few trade recaps from today. Not going to do a full portfolio recap. We're going to save that for tomorrow when we do the weekly ending recap in the Friday video. So a lot to talk about today, guys. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. So SPY, as we said, up 0.84%. QQQ up a very nice 0.98%. And all across the board, guys, we had some very decent rotation. Once again, led by some of your laggards of the last month. Big tech has really been participating heavily in the rally in the last 2 days. Very nice to see, guys. And there was some gorgeous opportunities across all of big tech in the last couple of weeks. So hopefully you guys are able to buy some of those very juicy dips, especially on this guy right here, Google. Google really coming alive today, 2.23%. Meta up almost 3%. Some very decent gains. AVGO continues a monster rally to the upside, guys. But really everything in terms of our big tech names did fairly well today. Financials also recovering from their latest stint to the downside over the past couple of days. Healthcare just continuing to do its thing, grinding higher. And even the more defensive side of the market, guys, no real red flags, just very broad market participation. I like to see it. Now, in terms of the one-day relative, guys, you'll see that no sector was left behind today. Every single sector in the green, led to the upside by communication services, which was Google and Meta doing most of the heavy lifting today. And now, where do we stand on the 1 week relative, guys? Well, pretty much everything is in the green except for financials after their slight mishap over the past couple of days, and energy as oil continues to be fairly weak, trading at 2022 and 2023 lows. So all in all, guys, looking like a very decent market, very good performance, and great technical recovery by the bulls when we needed it the most. So before we get into more technicals, guys, let us jump into some fun stuff, and that's going to be taking a look at some of the Adobe earnings. So Adobe coming in with their earnings after the close today, and they are down, unfortunately, about 9.51%. And with such a big number, guys, you would expect that possibly they would have missed on something big, right? Well, unfortunately not. They really didn't miss on anything that major. They missed ever so slightly on their guidance. But we know, guys, especially with AI companies in the most recent quarterly earnings, guys, unless the earnings are absolutely fantastic and the companies are raising guidance by a ridiculous margin, usually we have been met with a lot of sell-offs. The examples are, very, very many in terms of the most recent quarter, guys. We can look at all of the semiconductors suffered that same fate. CRM, right? The list just goes on, right? Very, very rare that we've had a tech company over the course of this current quarter that's actually gone up 10 to 15% after their report. I believe the only one to actually do it was Workday. Workday putting in some very good gains, and Oracle. Those are the two ones that come to mind that after their earnings had very good jumps. Most of all the other companies, they might have jumped initially, but then gave everything back, right? So taking a look at Adobe, let's go over some of their numbers and explain why the reason for the drop. Well, let's take a look here. They had a double beat on EPS. So beat on EPS on the bottom line, essentially by about 2.61%, but they also beat on revenue by about 0.67. So where was the miss here, guys? Well, let's take a look at this, right? In terms of the miss, as you can see, let's just jump into it a bit down here. The article has now ran away from me. Now, let's take a look at this, right? In terms of your miss, here is the magnitude of the miss. Fourth quarter revenue range 5.5 to 5.55. The estimate was 5.6, guys. Literally a 1% miss on revenue guidance. Now, the EPS guidance, 4.63 to 4.68. The estimate was 4.67. So barely a 1% miss on EPS as well. So tiny little miss on guidance for Adobe. But when we go through these earnings, I'll explain to you guys why the market is reacting in such a negative fashion to very decent numbers from this company. Let's take a look at some of their numbers, shall we? So in terms of the Adobe highlights, let's take a look. So as you can see, guys, very nice jump on revenue here, quarter over quarter, measuring, of course, year over year, Q3 2023 versus Q3 of 2024. Very nice bump in revenue, 11% to the upside. Very nice gain in EPS as well. EPS continues to expand, 23% to the upside. And growth, I mean, the maintenance, and here's going to be the key. The maintenance of their current growth rates has never been a problem for Adobe. Streamlined EPS growth and streamlined revenue growth as well. But therein lies the problem, right? They've been spending a lot of money on AI recently, as a lot of other companies have been doing as well. However, investors are now asking themselves the question, especially if they're not able to raise guidance that much, right? They've been in this AI narrative for about a year at this point, spending a lot of money. But where is the massive growth that's going to possibly come from it? Well, since the company is not meeting their expected guidance for the future quarter, we can say that the AI growth is just not here yet. And the reason the stock is down almost 10% in the after hours is many institutions and investors may just be getting impatient with Adobe's AI growth story. Let's continue, right? Operating cash flows, very, very healthily there as well, 8% year over year. Adobe's never had a problem with cash flows to begin with. Let's take a look at some of their business segments, right? Here's their digital media segment, which includes their document. So think of Adobe PDF Reader and their creative segments as well. So let's take a look right here. Document up 18% year over year. I went through the earnings slides as well. Very good monthly active user growth on these segments. Creative up about 10% year over year in terms of revenue. Net new ARR, that is average or annual recurring revenue. So basically their subscription model, as you can see, some very decent gains across the board. And their ending ARR for the year, guys, is now sitting documents 24% bump year over year and 11% on creative, guys. These are very, very solid numbers to say the least, right? Now, document obviously is not going to be one of the major beneficiaries of AI, except for possibly summarizing some documents. It's more going to be in the creative segment, right? In terms of custom AI abilities to edit videos or pictures much quicker than a user could do it themselves. Now, take a look at their digital experience. That is where they have most of their softwares like Photoshop and Adobe Premiere to edit videos and stuff like that. The revenue on those was up very nicely. DX subscription up 12% year over year. Nothing bad to say about this report. At remaining remaining performance obligations, how much money they have in the pipeline moving forward, they have about 18.14 billion for the 12-month period moving forward, which is very, very good for Adobe, guys. Adobe usually as a company makes roughly about that per year, right? $19-20 billion. So to see them having about 18 billion in RPOs means they have about still 1 year's of revenue in the pipeline. Very, very good for them. They also repurchased $5.2 million worth of shares, which is very, very good, and posted a quite healthy GAAP operating margin of about 36.8%. Now, that is actually better than what they've been doing in the past couple of quarters. Take a look here. Here's your history of Adobe profit margins. As you can see, they've been doing a great job of expanding that gross margin, and they took a little bit of a hit in the operating margins in the last 2 quarters. But now, as we saw right from their earnings slides, 36.8, so that number should be right back on par with what they were usually doing, back above the 34% range. And in terms of net margins, guys, net margins for the quarter were very good, right around 28%. And that is usually where Adobe has been standing in the past couple of years and past couple of quarters as well, usually about 27 to about 30% net margins. So very strong company, high levels of free cash flow, high levels of net margins to return through shareholders in the form of buybacks. Here's your Adobe shares outstanding. And as you can see, they continuously buy back shares, being more aggressive with it, at least in the last 2-3 years, to say the least. So there's literally nothing wrong with this company, guys. It was, for all intents and purposes, a fairly normal report, but therein kind of lies the problem, right? It's also the NVIDIA effect. The same thing happened to them and a lot of other semiconductor companies in this current quarter, and even your big tech names, right? Microsoft, Google, a lot of these companies just dropping after earnings because the expectation, the bar they have set for themselves, guys, is excessively high. If you start saying the word AI 1,000 times on every single earnings call for 12 months in a row, well, eventually people want to see results of you talking about AI so much. And unfortunately for these companies, right, we saw it in big tech, we saw it with semiconductors as well. The infrastructure for AI, the build out, right? The capital expenditures on the data centers, on the servers, those are happening. But what are the actual revenues that these companies are getting from these these heavy cost expenditures? Well, as of right now, guys, not much to show for it. And you would expect Adobe, if they really did have something to show for it, to really start increasing their guidance of revenue and bottom line growth. But we're just not seeing it right now. And that, in my humble opinion, is the reason why the stock is down about 10% in the after hours. But it's definitely not because they missed on big metrics at all, right? So here are the highlights for Adobe. Let's go over some of the valuation here in terms of the financials of the company, right? Very small, very smoothly run company. Nothing bad to say once again. Take a look down here. Free cash flow monster, guys. This company has relatively no debt in relation to the free cash flow they bring in per year and the amount of cash that they already have on the balance sheet. So the balance sheet gets up A+ from me. There's literally no critique that I can possibly say to them. In terms of the growth rates, as you can see, streamline EPS growth, streamline revenue growth, nothing bad to say about that. Now, when it comes down to the valuation, here are some concerns, right? So the PE ratio at 536 for the foreseeable future. This is the forward 2024 PE, sits at about a 29.5. At a first glance, guys, it doesn't appear that high, but when we divide it by their EPS growth rate, which is very good, 14.5% EPS growth for the next 3 years, this is a per year basis, is very solid. However, it's just not enough for the valuation, guys. The PEG ratio sitting a little bit above 2 right now. I'll remind you, anything under 1 is a screaming deal. Between 1 and 2 is good, but you want to be closer to 1. Anything above 2 starts to be a little bit rich for any company, not just Adobe, right? So sitting at a 2.04 while missing future guidance, guys, is not the best recipe for this company. So that's probably why they're down 10% once again. Now, in terms of where I would possibly like to play this one, we're coming into it right now. As you can see, this very large support zone right here, 530 all the way down to roughly 500. I would like to get this one closer to the $500 level if possible. That is where I would consider playing Adobe a little bit for some swing trades. If we were to revisit these lower locations down there, guys, the valuation would be a little bit more manageable, and I would more enjoy taking that type of position if we come down here and start maybe filling some of that prior earnings gap that we had back here, right? So Adobe, no trade from me right now. It's a gorgeous company. It's just not one that I'm looking to eagerly build a position in at these current valuations. I think, in my opinion, guys, there is tons of better opportunities in the market, and you don't need to look any further than this company right here, trading at a ridiculously low valuation, the lowest valuation in all of tech right now. And even this company right here, right? I know they don't do the same things as Adobe, but we're just going based off of valuations. Look at Meta's valuation too, right? Significantly cheaper than them, and arguably, right, in terms of competitive advantages and moats, I would say that Meta's business and Google's business are far more difficult to replicate at scale than Adobe's business, right? Especially with a lot of the AI tools that are coming out as of recently. A lot of people are potentially worried about Adobe's ability to protect their moat. If AI can replicate the same things that the Adobe's tools does, then why would you need premium subscriptions to Adobe's tools? Now, obviously, that's a very layman's summary of the current concerns right now, but they're very real concerns. Those concerns may only start manifesting, though, in the next 3, 4, 5 years. As for right now, Adobe is still growing in line with its historical norms. So that's pretty much everything for Adobe earnings. Now let's jump into some fun stuff, guys, and let's jump into our major stock market index analysis right away. And before we do that, give me a very brief second. And let's jump right into it. So SPY, as we were looking for yesterday, guys, we were looking for the continuation of this massive hourly uptrend set forth by the bulls in the late hours of yesterday's trading, right? And as you can see, they performed it excessively well here, guys, barely setting the hourly higher lows in the first few hours of trading. We were looking for them to maintain this range, right? They did it beautifully, and now they put another leg higher. So the SPY is looking excessively good, guys. Huge engulfing move on the daily. So you can see that best right here. Loss of the daily uptrend, daily downtrend, now massive engulfing move, and really coming over and above the prior little area of support. It was resistance. Now that we're above it, guys, The bulls, I'm not going to lie, they are looking like they do want the all-time highs at this point, and we don't have that much macro data standing in the way of us and those all-time highs. Take a look at this, guys. Tomorrow, we get the Consumer Sentiment Index report. Now, usually this can move the markets a little bit, especially if it's received very, very poorly, but so far, no expectations for that. In terms of what we got today, more producer inflation numbers. I'll spare you the details of those, but just understand they were in line with our consumer price index numbers as well. Basically, goods are coming down, services remain slightly sticky, but as you can see, the numbers are steadily, continuously coming down on inflation, whether you look at it on the consumer side or the producer side, guys. Inflation is going away. It's pretty much done at this point. However, next week, of course, next week's a big one. We get Tuesday retail sales. That's going to be big because all focus right now is on the consumer's purchasing power, right? So this is the best indicator of that. And then on Wednesday, of course, guys, we get the biggest day all year, potentially, right? The first edition of our Federal Reserve rate cuts. So it remains to be seen how much they will be doing, but the expectation is for 0.25. So until then, guys, we don't really have much in the way to really stall our bulls after this rally. So it may just be looking, guys, in the event we were to lose the hourly time frame into possibly the early session after as of tomorrow, right? Or hourly downtrend would be set. Then we might just be looking, guys, for a probable higher low for potential further trend continuation. Looking very, very solid as of right now, guys. Anything above 540, so much space looking for that daily higher low for further trend continuation. And look at the weekly. If we close the weekly like this, guys, it's going to be looking excessively good for the bulls, right? We were looking for the weekly engulfing move. We got that weekly engulfing move, looking for the weekly higher low. We got that as well. And now looking for the perpetual continuation of the weekly uptrend on SPY. Pretty much everything going to according to some of our technical predictions, right? In terms of just respecting the levels and playing off of those levels. So very happy with the way this chart has played out. Now moving into QQQs. So QQQs pretty much the exact same thing as the SPY, right? So daily downtrend was underway. You get the big engulfing move, taking out our previous lower highs right there. So big engulfing move by the bulls. They've now created enough space. Anything above 448, just going to be looking for a daily higher low for possible further trend continuation. We are now nicely back above the moving averages. The moving averages are curling above us once again. So tons of space to fall back into. And now we have cleared this area of resistance. It is now supposed to be a green box. Let me just fix that for us, because now if we fall back into this area, it will be used by the bulls as a decent form of support to potentially get a second daily leg higher on the daily uptrend. Now, in terms of the weekly, guys, well, we knew that the bulls cut, or the bears rather, cut much deeper on the Qs than they did in the SPY, and the bounce was also lackluster compared to the SPY. Look, you have 100% engulfing bounce on the SPY in the same time period, and on the QQQs, only about 70%, which is still good, but not as good as the S&P, right? And we were looking to see if they could potentially put in a weekly higher low and go for the weekly trend change. Well, with these candles, the way that they're formed right now, guys, this screams zone of supply to me. And where's the supply coming in? Well, it's coming in from this exact same box that we just turned green, right? Usually when you see two equal sized candles like this, just reversing the move on the weekly, that is synonymous with a very large area of supply for the markets. So in my opinion, it's going to be very tough for the bears to get back through this location without any major negative news to the downside. You'll notice that most of our big red days so far, guys, have only been news event driven days, right? When we don't have much news, the markets just drift and grind higher as they usually do. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for the news. As I've been saying so far, guys, I'm still, right now it's pretty much 50-50 bear bull. But we'll play these markets one day at a time in a cautiously optimistic fashion. I do have some hedges to the downside in the event the markets unravel and the recession narrative points or gives us more data to enforce that soft landing or hard landing recession narrative. But until that time, I still remain selling options as my main source of trading income. Now, moving on to XLF and also some day trades and swing trades as well, right? When the opportunities present themselves. Looking into financials right now, financials recovering a little bit today, but still kind of trapped in this daily downtrend, right? what we need to see is a continuation of the bounce from the bulls. As of now, they have it underway. Hourly, looking to get the hourly uptrend back. We'll see if they can do it into tomorrow. And then we're going to be looking for the bounce size in relation to 45.17. Can we get an almost engulfing move and start resetting this into a daily uptrend? Reacting nicely from our support zone down here though, 44 down to about 43.40. That's the area we were targeting, and reacting beautifully. I'll remind you, just was looking for a weekly higher low for possible further trend continuation. So a lot of these dips on some of the banks, guys, I do believe are still for some short-term swing trade by the dip opportunities. Another one that we played today, with our members in the Discord was when the news came out for Wells Fargo. Yes, another privacy breach for Wells Fargo. It seems to be a quarterly thing for them at this point, or a semi-annual thing, kind of like an anniversary every single year for the past 4 years. This happens to the company multiple times per year. They get a slap on the wrist. They have to change their AML requirements, anti-money laundering requirements when customers sign up. And that's pretty much the end of it. So when we hit the peak of pretty much the sell-off, I fired off a $48 short put swing trade for something like a wheel, just selling premium down here. And by the end of the day, guys, that contract was completely worthless. We made 100% profit on that trade in roughly, just about the remaining hour of trade for the day. So looking very good. So a lot of these big financial dips, guys, when they do happen, I do still think that they're good buying opportunities if you can catch that volatility. Moving into XLV healthcare right now, healthcare not looking too bad at all, up about 0.36% on the day, and healthcare doing its best to try and recapture the daily uptrend, right? Still need a break of actually today's and Tuesday's high, because they're basically equidistant highs right now. In the event we get that break, higher highs are set, daily uptrend is resumed, and we put an end to this weekly consolidation. 2.5 weeks of weekly consolidation. That was to be expected. Gorgeous weekly uptrend. We were always looking for a retest for a weekly higher low for possible further trend continuation, right? Whenever we get too far away from this 12 EMA, guys, we can always expect at least a pullback into it, and we pretty much almost got it, right? Maybe just a few dollars away from it. So I'll take that as a win as well. Healthcare looking very, very, very good as a whole, guys. The only healthcare play that I'm in right now, there's a couple that I'm watching, but the only one I'm directly in, I showed it on the channel yesterday, is NVO. NVO looking for the possible bull flag, right? 3-4 months worth of bull flag, looking for the expansion, right? That one kind of reminds me of what happened with Visa as well, right? Just massive monthly bull flag, looking for the trend expansion. NVO is kind of looking the same. Another one up for consideration, if ever it comes back and picks us up, is UNH. If we start retesting the prior all-time highs, Eli Lilly, not even close right now, even though it is one of our market leaders. No real levels to be basing our trades off of. The other one I'm looking at, guys, is AbbVie. AbbVie, in the event, for some which reason, if we continue pulling back on this weekly, down to perhaps the 12 EMA, 187-ish, all the way down to roughly 185, this little pocket right here before we get to the previous all-time highs, I might be tempted to make a little bit of a swing trade on AbbVie. Like that company a lot. Moving into XLP now. Usually we don't cover these. Let's just do them real quick together, right? So XLP looking very good, no red flags. Consumer defensives continue to be very, very strong. Retesting the 12 EMA a few times the last couple of days. Looking very good, guys. Gorgeous weekly uptrend. Utilities, one of the stronger defensive names as well. They continue to just power forward, guys. Look at this 12 EMA being respected, so respected since the early portion of the month of July. So looking very good for some trend continuation. And real estate as well continues to outperform too. Now moving into SMH. So semiconductors up about 0.21%. I mean, semiconductors today, guys, we're kind of a mixed bag, right? Maybe I can move my shoulder right here, or maybe I can just move my entire body. So moving on to look at semiconductors, guys, very, very mixed market picture for them. If it wasn't for NVIDIA and AVGO, right, and a little bit of AMD green, a lot of them were kind of suffering today, but that's normal. They had a monster day yesterday. A little bit of a pullback never hurt anyone at that point, right? So in terms of SMH, what are we still dealing with right now, guys? You guessed it, daily downtrend right now. So big daily downtrend similar to the QQQs. Nice engulfing move by the bulls. Now they have to complete the two-step recovery process. Give us the daily uptrend and get us above this big red box right here, which ends at about 238 to make this box as some new support, right? If we can start clearing this, come back and back test it, then we have a better shot at starting it to attack the higher one, which is roughly 249 up to about 257. So SMH not looking too bad. The bounce is a decent size right now. Any pullback looking for a higher low, anything above 213 higher low for a possible trend continuation trade on SMH. In terms of the weekly, well, the weekly is not looking too bad, but definitely not as good as maybe a QQQ, right? You can see the difference, and even from the SPY, right? So SMH really lost a lot more than other industries out there, but not looking too bad. We'll see, can the bulls confirm this daily uptrend with the rest of the markets right now and start clawing back a lot more of these losses? Or unfortunately, will they just be kind of caught in somewhat of a tightening range as we kind of iron out the details around the growth story for semiconductors? Now, moving into the Russell up about 1.29%. Not a bad day for them, trying to clear above this area of support right now, which is 211 all the way down to roughly 207. Not too bad of an area, right? Prior 52-week highs for almost the entire year so far. What are they trying to do? Trying to get back as much as this move as possible, right? In relation to 220, let's call it just 221 pretty much. As of now, the size of the bounce, not too bad, about a 50% bounce. I would like to see them come up at least to about 214, 215. Give me a 618 bounce, and then you have a much better chance at using this yellow box, right? Using it here as support and then going for the daily trend change. That's the pattern I'd be looking for if you want to make a little bit of a swing trade on the Russell. I'd be probably waiting for the back test, because then you have a defined stop loss area, and then you can actually go for some of these highs right there. So that's the type of trade I'd be looking at for the Russell. And if you want to use something like the TMF for more leverage, perfectly fine. None of this is financial advice anyways, right? Moving on to Dow Jones. Dow Jones also not looking too bad, 0.58% to the upside. So the Dow Jones doing a beautiful job here, guys, of trying to get the daily uptrend back. And as a matter of fact, if we were to kind of remove yesterday's crazy price action, I will give it to them that the daily uptrend is back in their hands right now. Not looking too bad at all here, guys, right? And why is that so important that they have the daily back? Well, we were always looking kind of like healthcare, kind of like financials, right? It was always a weekly uptrend. We were always just looking for a weekly higher low for possible further trend continuation. I was telling you guys to pay special attention here on the Dow Jones to the 12 EMA and this $40,000 yellow line right here, psychological support, prior resistance, of course. And it came down, tagged this area beautifully as of yesterday's trading day. And now we are back above it. So looking quite good, quite solid on the Dow Jones. No red flags to speak of as of lately. Now, moving into Bitcoin, let's take a look at some crypto, because we haven't really covered crypto since Monday, I believe. So looking at Bitcoin right now, we had a little bit of a dip as of the most recent last week of trading. And now we're kind of back above this crucial area for Bitcoin, guys. 57K down to about 55,000. I'm rounding it up, right? But you guys get the idea from these big levels. And now we are back above it. So what I need to see from the bulls right now is give me the daily uptrend shift in a convincing fashion. So far, so good. Back tested this area yesterday, trying for the daily uptrend. You could say that we kind of have it today, but I need to see more of a push. Give me a push into about 59,500. Then we can say, okay, daily uptrend is clearly underway. Our weekly lows are set. And then we're just looking to start and recapture as much of this most recent weekly leg down as possible, talking about 64,000. So you'd like to eventually see this range tighten up maybe as best as they can and then get a significant break to the upside. That's if they don't just do it right away, right? So growth assets still a little bit muted right now, still not the best environment for them to absolutely have a monster rally. However, it is still a good location, in my humble opinion, for me to be accumulating some Bitcoin. So I have been taking a few Bitcoin positions, not too much, but I have added some Bitcoin to the long-term portfolio in the last few weeks of trading right there. In terms of day trades on Bitcoin, I really favor the 2x leverage ETF. The name is BITX. Moving into Ethereum right now. Well, Ethereum a lot weaker than Bitcoin, of course. And as we can see, massive weekly downtrend, right? So that's very unfortunate for Ethereum, coming into the bottom end of the range of support right now, about 2,100. But as I've been saying over the last 2 months, guys, people just aren't using Ethereum the same way they were back in the rally of 2020 and 2021. Everybody's kind of using Solana now, especially to trade either meme coins or just for general ecosystem purposes, right? Ethereum still has its place, but I'm starting to kind of, even myself, kind of fall out of love with Ethereum's premise as a whole, guys. It's not the most sophisticated chain. It was first. It's not the fastest either, though, and it is sometimes expensive for newcomers to the space. So Ethereum, although I do think it will eventually continue following Bitcoin to the upside, it may not be outperform as much as Solana. As a matter of fact, the next time we do go over crypto, I'll probably cover Solana a lot more. So Ethereum, same thing as Bitcoin, looking for the daily uptrend. As soon as we get the daily uptrend, guys, need to look how much of the weekly can they recapture and then eventually reset the weekly uptrend as well. Because right now, it's just entirely bear control. And now we can do a little bit of Solana right here. So Solana maintaining a very nice range. You'll see, guys, that this does share the exact same chart almost as Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin kind of looks like that. Solana kind of looks like that. Kind of looks like a distant cousin, right? Distant relative, something like that. But as you can see, there's a very clear level that we're trying to respect right here. I can even drag this down to include some of the tails on the monthly. Clear defined area, 120 all the way up to about 140. This 20-point range Solana has been defending with its life, looking like a very nice tight-ish range of accumulation. And it is just that, guys. It is a tight range of accumulation. This is one massive bull flag in my opinion, and it's only waiting for the Bitcoin trade to start rallying to then follow that exact same trend, daily uptrend reversal, start reversing the weekly, and then just continue gaining the levels as crypto becomes more favorable in a rate cut environment after we get through a lot of these recession fears. Now moving into big tech, shall we? So moving into big tech, Apple, not with a bad day today, 0.05%, but Apple still remains slightly weak, guys, after their iPhone event, right? There really wasn't anything crazy to speak of. Of course, the AI features are nice, but people are still concerned whether or not those are going to translate into a legendary upgrade cycle for the company. So that being said, guys, take a look at Apple right now. Daily downtrend is in motion. The bull's putting in a very nice size bounce right there. Let's get the chart bigger so you guys can understand what I'm looking for. So moving into this, right, 78% bounce. So it's looking good either for the 100% engulfer and reset into a daily uptrend higher, something like that. Or if we fail from here, reset a little bit lower, daily higher lows, and then go for the two-step daily uptrend recapture. So Apple not looking too bad, all things considered. Even on the weekly, guys, not looking too bad either. Gorgeous weekly move up, looking to possibly set the weekly higher lows using this 220 down to 215 area as support, possibly looking for that upside swing into the all-time highs. So as I was saying yesterday, guys, there is a little bit of a swing trade here on Apple. If you want a short-term swing trade, right? Well, if I wanted to, because none of this is financial advice, below 217 would be the stop loss. And then we're obviously targeting our take profit all the way up here in the high 230s. So that could be a little bit of a swing trade on Apple, just going for the weekly trend continuation pattern, right? Myself personally, I'm kind of not trading Apple. The way I love trading Apple is to sell premium on Apple, but I just haven't been getting the best deals on Apple. I would love to see it come down here in the 210 so I can start selling some premium around the 205 to about 200 level, all the way roughly down here. So that's my take on Apple. Now we're going to take a look at AMD, but just give me a very brief second, guys. Because you know me, I love to talk, right? So moving into AMD. So AMD up 0.61%. Not the best day for AMD, but it's green. I'll take it. Pretty much waiting for the exact same thing we saw yesterday, right? So big daily downtrend on AMD. Now we have the engulfing move. They've completely engulfed this second leg of selling right here. The highs was 149.14. We've now broken that. So the bulls have an engulfing move. Now, one of two things is going to happen for AMD, guys, in my humble opinion. Either we're going to continue this push into our overhead resistance level, which is 155 to 163, similar to what they did back here, right? You saw they come very hard into this level. The problem is when you try to do this all in one shot, guys, when you come into such a very big area of resistance, sometimes the bulls just get tired. So in my opinion, the most likely trade setup is either going to be pull up into here, get rejected, try and set up for the daily higher lows, and go for a second attempt at breaking those resistances in two different legs. Or in the event we roll over from here, then we can gain a little bit more momentum from here. The bulls can take a little bit of a breather and then try attacking this level in one clean shot, right? So that's what I'm looking for on AMD. One thing's for sure, in the event we start pulling back from this location, I'm going to be looking to write some short puts down here, 137, 134-ish range. That's where I want to own the company in the event we get a sign, guys. This is going to be the juicy area to be writing some put credit spreads or short puts if you want something like that, right? In terms of going long at this range, guys, it's very tough for me to build some longs from here into the resistance area, right? The longs were pretty much down here. If you miss them, then we have to wait for a little bit of a retest in this location, and then we can possibly make an attempt at the longs. That's just how I'm seeing AMD. Just keep in mind, we do not yet have the weekly uptrend either. That would need a clean break of 162. We'll see if they can get it done over the course of next week. Definitely looking very good with this week's momentum, however. Now moving into Amazon just plowing through the highs today, 1.34%, looking extremely strong. And I'm glad that we gave this trade in this location right here. We were saying tightening range on Amazon. What were we looking for, guys? Looking for the weekly higher low for possible further weekly uptrend shift, right? Because we lost the weekly uptrend. We had the weekly uptrend this entire time, and then we lost it with this flush right here by flushing the higher lows. So the bulls had to get it back. So the 1-2-step process of getting it back and then rally. This is exactly what we were talking about the last few weeks of trading, right? Coming back testing our big support range right here, 173 down to 160, prior all-time highs from 2020 and 2021. And now the rest is history, guys. Amazon well on its way to start challenging this 190 line of resistance, and then we're back to the all-time highs. So hopefully you guys are able to buy some dips on Amazon. They gave us a lot of time for it, guys, almost a month worth of time to pick up some Amazon shares for the long-term portfolios. So hopefully you guys were able to do that. Amazon looking excessively good at this point in time, just looking for a higher low. So in the event we start getting a back test, right? Break out of this range right here. This is a long-term range, guys. This is like 2 months worth of range, right? We've just now broken above it. So in the event we get a little bit of a back test right here, that is going to be a trade entry opportunity. The moving averages will all be curling up into there. It'll be perfect confluence. Breakout, retest, and then run. Trade location is right there in my opinion. Moving into Google right now. Google also finally coming alive a little bit right here, guys. 2.23%. And this one had all the recipes of potentially being a very good trade, right? Which is why I've gone so heavily on it. Daily oversold conditions. Google doesn't often hit daily oversold conditions, guys, but when it does, usually it has a very nice rally thereafter, right? We covered this on the channel a couple times in the past, right? When we get RSIs in the low 20s like we had back here, usually Google does have a nice little snapback rally. That's exactly what we're witnessing right now. So daily downtrend was clearly underway. Now we have a decent sized bounce here, guys. Take a look at the size of the bounce, right? Step number 1, the bulls need to give us a decent sized bounce, create some space off the lows to be able to reset into a daily uptrend. That is step number 1. And so far, not too bad of a job by Google right now, bouncing about 618%. So that is exactly what we're looking for. Give us a little bit more, and then the probabilities increase that we can get that daily uptrend shift. As soon as the daily uptrend is confirmed, we know that the weekly bounce is confirmed underway, and then we'll do the same thing. Then we look on the weekly. How much of this weekly downswing can we recapture and then eventually reset into the weekly uptrend? And then we will just have our monthly higher lows, which are set and moving into a new monthly uptrend. This chart right here, the monthly trend on Google, is the one reason why I was so confident in buying the company. We were retesting prior all-time highs of 2020 and 2021, and I was, saying for a long time, anything 150 down to 130, guys, is easy money long-term on Google. Obviously, there's going to be some short-term swings, short-term volatility, but in terms of a long-term proposition, it is an extremely good opportunity, and the valuation is excessively cheap right now, so not looking too bad at all on Google. Let us see how the bulls can evolve in terms of this snapback rally. So it's a start, guys. I'm not saying the bulls have it in the bag just yet, but it is a start. We'll take this one day at a time. Moving into Meta right now. Meta up a very healthy 2.69%. And apparently Meta bulls listened to the video yesterday and we're just like, well, you know what, Will? We're actually going to make an attempt for the all-time highs right away, right? So coming to this resistance, very tough for us to buy into resistance. The joke was, the bulls today didn't care. They were like, you know what? We're going to buy into resistance and we're going to push this thing higher. So daily downtrend was underway. Now we have a big 100% engulfing move of the most recent leg of selling, looking quite good. What I would like to see on Meta for some trend continuation here, guys, give me a break above the big resistance zone, 531. Get me above 531, give me a retest of 531 and launch. Then I will definitely take the trade on the retest here for Meta because we've been looking for this one for a long time here, guys, right? Weekly engulfing move, higher lows are set, and now we're looking for the weekly uptrend shift to the bulls. Next target, in my humble opinion, will pretty much be 550 psychological for them. So still a decent little margin to work with here in terms of some short-term swing trades, but Meta is looking very good to say the least, guys. No red flags on this chart whatsoever. Now, moving into Microsoft. So Microsoft, another one, guys, that I was really pushing for indirectly, right? For people to notice the trade opportunity down here. And for those of you who are able to pick up some Microsoft, well, congratulations. Now you should be up pretty nicely, right? On one of the greatest companies on the planet. So daily downtrend was underway. We knew what we were looking for, engulfing move on the daily. We now have the engulfing move on the daily, and we're attacking this range of resistance, guys. 433 down to about 427. So this has been a very big range of resistance tested by the bulls a number of times over the course of the year so far. So we'll see. Either one of two things is going to happen. Either we can clear this in one shot, then the bulls might get a little bit tired, retest, and then run. This retest, very high probability trade. We will tackle that when we get to it. Or we run out of steam into resistance, and then we have tons of space, guys. Anything above 400, just looking for a daily higher low for a potential second stab at this resistance location. So Microsoft coming beautifully off the lows, and look what's going to happen if we close at these current levels, guys. Let me zoom in on the weekly so you guys can see it even better, right? Let me zoom in even more. You can see if we close right here, one more green day on Microsoft, this is going to be your first new weekly uptrend since we lost the uptrend back there in the early portion of July. So this is a very notable move for Microsoft right now. Congratulations to all the bulls, looking very good. And the higher time frames always look good, guys. This was never a question for Microsoft, right? Always just a monthly uptrend looking for some continuation. So congratulations out there, guys, for, if you were able to jump onto those trades. And in the event you weren't, guys, well, I wouldn't be too nervous about it either, right? Still a very decent location to be buying Microsoft for a long-term portfolio. Moving into Netflix, Netflix up about 0.78%. Ooh, Netflix tried for it today, right? You can tell that the bulls are kind of getting anxious, right? They really want to smash the 700 level and start gaining the levels to the upside. So daily downtrend was underway, and now the bulls have a decent size engulfing move, but we're kind of trapped right here, right? Where are we trapped, guys? Very simple. We're trapped at the previous all-time highs and the current all-time highs as well. That will only last for so long, in my opinion, especially if the rest of the markets continue on several days worth of rally moving forward, right? In that case, guys, we can probably expect a breakout of the all-time highs. I would not be surprised. What I'd like to see if that would be the case is breakout of the all-time highs, give me a retest of the all-time highs, and then run, right? I love those breakout retest trades, guys. They're my bread and butter pretty much, right? So easy to constantly trade breakout, retest, and run, right? It's just the actual pattern of the uptrend. So that's what we're looking for. When you can combine them with big areas of support or the moving averages, they work even better. So Netflix, not looking too bad at all. Still patiently waiting for that breakout. And in the event we don't, let's say there's also a chance that we fail, right? So this would be just fail and continue sliding down into here. We'll just understand big support below us right there. 652 down about 632, looking for a weekly higher low for possible further trend continuation. So now moving into NVIDIA. NVIDIA also not looking too bad today, 1.91% to the upside. NVIDIA has really been on a monster move so far from the lows here, guys, all the way up here. 18.5%. They are having a contest with AVGO. Who can put in the most amount of gains in the shortest amount of time? AVGO taking the cake, 23% in the last 4 days of trading from the lows. So looking very good across both accounts right there. Now moving into the actual technicals of NVIDIA, well, we knew we were in a daily downtrend, right? Clear as day. And now we have to do a lot of work to kind of get that daily downtrend back. So at least now, guys, we've put in a very sizable bounce from the highs. Take a look at the size of this bounce, 618. So that is the level that we hit. We hit it actually perfectly on the dot today before starting to give a tiny little back, of those gains, right? But NVIDIA still looking good right now. So now the bulls have a chance at possibly being able to reset into a daily uptrend. If we fail from here and close below, that's okay. Anything above 101, looking for a daily higher low for a possible second attempt at smashing this green box of, which is now resistance, right? However, in the event we clear it tomorrow, then we have another opportunity for the breakout, retest of location, and possibly run into the new daily uptrend, and possibly looking to start recapturing some of these weekly highs. Remains to be seen, can NVIDIA put in a new weekly uptrend and go towards new all-time highs, or are we maybe going to be range bound like we were last fall? That is anybody's guess, guys, right? Nobody has a crystal ball. The best you can do is have an educated guess, right? And if you're right, you'll say, I knew it. And if you're wrong, well, you won't want to talk about it too much, right? But nobody knows these things, guys. The best we can do is focus on the short-term price action. And when we get some trade opportunities, like the infamous breakout retest, we can take that trade and take it all the way to the most recent highs, setting our stops below wherever the daily lows were here, right? So that is how I would trade NVIDIA. Myself as well, I will be continuing to write some short puts. Short puts anywhere below 105 seems like a decent proposition to me as well. Moving into Tesla. So Tesla up only about 0.74% today. Not too bad though. Tesla's kind of been just grinding back a lot of the losses that they had on the last Friday session, but nothing bad. Can't say anything bad about the company as of right now. Looking to maintain this daily uptrend, still looking for a break of 233 to the upside. Break of 233 with overall good market strength would probably start giving us a gap fill opportunity right here, anywhere between that 235 and 245 range. That will be the first target for Tesla to the upside, in my opinion. And to the flip side, in the event we start consolidating a little bit, well, the bulls do have a lot of space, anything above 210, probably just looking for a daily higher low, get this a bit more tight, and then maybe blast off towards, maybe after rate cuts or maybe prior to the robo-taxi event in anticipation of that news event, right? So Tesla not looking too bad right now on the weekly, still weekly just very, very, very challenging in terms of the price action right now, very, very tight price action and within the context of this previous lost momentum. So they're trying to go for the weekly uptrend. We are above all of the weekly moving averages and looking good. As long as the rest of the market is going good, this could be a case of rising tides lift all ships, and Tesla could be getting the benefit of some continuation, a rally to the upside, guys. As I said, 245 first target, and then the second target, of course, 255s at the highs. Moving on to Palantir right now. Palantir looking absolutely phenomenal at the highs right here, 0.17%, but it's getting a little bit tough for Palantir to start to really break out of that level, right? The next area of resistance is 38 down to up to about 39. Not looking too bad. Very tough for me to buy up here though, right? Weekly starting to get a little bit overbought on the RSI. Daily is definitely overbought on the RSI right now. And just the overall valuation of the company, guys, 3.72 peg right now at about 35. This is closer to over a 4 peg, which is a lot for the company, guys. Keep in mind, I was buying Palantir this entire time down here, right? Some of my initial buys on Palantir were in the $16, $15 range. I averaged down into it for about a year at that point. Not so much, right? But still averaged into it all the way down through like $8, $7, things like that. So I'm well positioned to say that at this price, it's expensive. I do have a decent amount of shares, right? So I'm not adding any more shares right here. I'm also not selling any shares. For me, it's just a hold. I'm going to be looking to swing trade this one. In the event we start rolling over this daily into a little bit of a daily downtrend and into some weekly consolidation, I'm going to be looking to play this weekly consolidation dip here, guys. I would love to find this stock come back maybe into the 32, high 31s. That way we can get some short put opportunity plays at the $30, even $29 levels. But all in all, Palantir, no signs of weakness right now. Still full control of the hourly uptrend, still full control of the other short time frames like the 4-hour. Everything is not looking bad for Palantir at all. So either wait for the pullback here, guys, or as I said, if we're holding, there's no reason to panic right now, right? We could just get another leg into the $38, $39 level, and that might be where, the bulls say enough is enough, and they start taking some massive profits. So that's pretty much everything for our stock market recap over the course of the day today. I just wanted to run through a few of the trades that I presented to you guys on the channel on Tuesday, right? So I gave some swing trades that I was looking for. Yesterday, I went through my full portfolio, so you guys saw even more trades that I had put on. But let's go through a few of these quickly, right? So Airbnb, I still like Airbnb, guys. Airbnb still coiling up at the lows right there. We're looking for the daily trend expansion. I would not be surprised if soon, if the rest of the markets are bullish the next few days, we may just be able to fill this gap over at the 126. That could be a very nice trade, guys. The stop loss is super tight right now, and the upside is also not so bad at the 126. The other one we were looking at is UPS for the exact same reason. Extremely tight range of accumulation right there. They pay a 5% dividend at these levels right now. So not even a bad, a longer term swing for this company at all. Same thing, stop loss can be really, really tight. And we're just looking for the trend expansion into perhaps the mid 130 range. So that one's not looking too bad. In terms of the other ones, guys, the other ones, right, those are the accumulation range trades. Here are the breakout retest trades, right? So BLDR gave this one on Tuesday. Great little pullback opportunity yesterday on the company. And now looking for the daily trend expansion. This was a weekly breakout, retest of the range, retest of all the moving averages and the support range. And now we might just be looking to run on BLDR. So congratulations if you're able to fire that one off. GLD, we were looking at GLD for some continuation momentum. Daily bull flag, guys. This one was juicy. Daily bull flag underway. We were saying that there might be some risk in the event the markets cool off. That gold may just start revisiting this lower 226, 225 location. So there was two trades, right? There was an immediate trade right now, and there was also an add on to that trade, right? So you could start, I was saying I was starting a position right here, and in the event we pull back more for the retest of the all-time highs. I was going to add more here, and then we just go with the weekly flow, right? So happy to say this one played off instantly pretty much. The trade we opened yesterday with the Discord, we were up 16% on that one using very conservative options, mind you guys. I didn't even go aggressive on this positioning at all, but we were still able to make over 16% in one day of trading off of that play on gold. So hopefully you guys watching were able to eat on that as well. The other one we were looking for was Intuit. Look at Intuit, guys. $646. I've been calling this one on the channel for a very long time at this point, in the lower 620 down to 610. So we called this one as well on Tuesday. We had another opportunity to come pick up everybody who was left behind in below 620. And now this is looking very, very good. Daily trend expansion and just looking for some potentially weekly trend recapture. Start retesting some of these highs, 655, 656. But the best one is the monthly, guys. This is a monthly cup and handle, right? Breakout, retest, cup and handle formation, super strong, looking for the eventual rally beyond the all-time highs. The other one we were looking at was ON Semiconductor. ON Semiconductor, if you were looking for a short put wheel trade, I know I didn't do a top 5 options play video this week because I was sick, unfortunately, but an opportunity presented itself yesterday as well. Caught it with the Discord members as soon as it happened early on in the morning. We were looking at the $65 or $64 puts, and those by today would be pretty much completely worthless. So congratulations if you're able to write some short puts in one of the levels that I've been writing short puts on ON Semiconductor almost the entire year so far. I love that $63, $64, $65 level on ON. The other swing trade we were looking at, which hasn't really lifted off just yet, but is starting to show some signs of life, is Palo Alto Network. So Palo Alto, the chart is a little bit messy, but all you need to understand, daily downtrend. We were looking for the end of the daily downtrend and for the bulls to start putting in a daily uptrend sweep reversal. And why? Because we had the weekly bullish bias, right? Breakout on the weekly, retest the prior range, weekly 12 EMAs right there. So we're looking for the weekly move higher. So as of now, it hasn't fully left the station, but it did present some decent opportunities if you're looking to build a smaller position over the course of yesterday. And the last trade we were looking at, guys, was Waste Connections. This one as well, guys, classic trade, right? All the setups are the exact same, right? Bull flag, right? Bull flag, breakout, retest, bull flag into possible new to all-time highs. Such an easy strategy, guys. Trend continuation patterns on the weekly, especially on solid companies like these, you know that most likely there's going to be buyers sitting there. So it's a very, very easy trade to make. Daily downtrend, we were looking for maybe one last retest, right? We filmed this one, we gave this one on the Tuesday. I said any retest of the zone should be a buying opportunity for anybody looking, 183 to 182. It came right down into us yesterday, guys, and now looking to move higher, just looking for that weekly trend continuation expansion further, possibly into the psychological 190, and then of course the $200 range. So not looking too bad on all of the trades that we gave on the channel. So hopefully you guys were able to, if not maybe take the trades themselves, right? Because I never advocate you guys for just blindly taking trades, right? But if you're able to learn from the setups and what I look for in high quality setups, keep in mind, these aren't 5-minute chart setups or 15-minute chart setups, right? They're daily and weekly and even some monthly biased chart setups, right? So hopefully that was educational for you guys. We'll do the full portfolio recap tomorrow, but it's been a very good week so far. So guys, that was pretty much everything for today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider dropping a like. Would appreciate it for the growth of the channel. And also consider subscribing to the channel if you're new, guys. So close to 3,000 subscribers, guys. Let us get that milestone for me, please. I don't usually ask you guys for much, but if you could click that subscribe button and get us over 3,000, it would, I would have a little bit of a mental victory there tonight. So thanks very much for doing that. And lastly, if you have any questions at all, guys, anything you want, if you want me to look at a stock, we do the subscriber request videos on a Saturday, right? So if any stocks you want me to look at, leave them down below in the comments. Technical analysis as well, an options play you're considering, macro discussion, anything you want, guys, leave it down below in the comments and I'll be sure to answer you usually within the first 24 hours. So take care. See you guys after the close tomorrow. Have a great rest of your week. Wrap up Friday strong. Happy trading tomorrow. Peace.